Hello everybody and welcome to this amazing top 5 Dead by Daylight video of the worst survivor perks. This video is an update to our prior top 5 list where there was a huge patch that pretty much took a lot of the worst perks and upgraded them into something useful. If you want to see what the prior list was and see what the perks used to be, follow the link in the description down below. This video, however, is up to date as of patch 2.2.0 PTB. This means that any patch that comes out after the fact may result in another remake of the list from certain balance changes or reworks that may come. We'll be including the Spirits and Adam Francis's perks, as we already know their function even though they're only available during the PTB, meaning it's not out on console yet, but available for PC. Perks will be judged and based on their tier 3 version, and that's about it. With that out of the way, let's begin. Number 5. Prove Thyself. Returning from the prior list, Prove Thyself has yet to earn a spot as a useful perk. It grants the user an additional 3% speed to repair, healing, and sabotage actions per survivor within its aura range. This is teachable, earned from Dwight at level 35. It sounds useful towards helping you achieve faster results, but the issue is that the perk is not only outclassed, but provides such a minimal boost that it becomes just a waste of a perk slot. Prove Thyself mirrors the Leader perk, but it only provides a fraction of what Leader does. Leader grants a 9% boost to your ally when they are within your range. Prove Thyself only provides you a 3%, and of course this stacks up to 9% when you have all 3 allies near you, but Leader would also grant 9% to each of your allies, with a total of 27% total boost versus your 9% from Prove Thyself. Additionally, Prove Thyself becomes worthless when you want to work on gens together. When pairing together on a generator, it takes an extra 4 seconds to finish that generator compared to if you two were to do 2 separate generators. This 4 seconds isn't even countered by Prove Thyself, as it only grants a 2.4 seconds boost for you, the survivor with Prove Thyself. And this only gets worse if you add more people on the same generator, as the diminishing returns continues to eat up more time, as Prove Thyself continues to just provide a minimal bonus that does not help bridge this gap. Of course, within some builds, for the sake of fun, you can always pair both Leader and Prove Thyself together, but you're just removing a valid perk slot to fill it with something you're just goofing off with. And of course, I mean, if you're just trying to have fun, perks don't really matter all that much. But in the sense of a real game, in order to attempt to achieve victory, Prove Thyself proves to be one of the worst perks you could run. Leader will always be a better choice if you want faster action speed. Number 4. Slippery Meat. This one's got quite the innuendo, but it is otherwise a useless perk. Slippery Meat has undergone several changes over the time that Dead by Daylight has been out, but it as of now grants 3 additional attempts to struggle off the hook yourself. Additionally, you have an increased chance to escape a bear trap by 25%. This is a neutral perk available to all survivors at the start of the game. So you get 3 additional attempts. That sounds great. So what are we losing here that makes this one of the worst perks? It's an entire perk slot. Similar to other risk versus reward perks, Slippery Meat risks that the perk may never be used at all or may fail to be useful even if you use it. For example, if you're running the perk and you get hooked by a kind killer who just wanders off yonder, and you get that sneaky Claudette who just comes and makes a quick save without you being on the hook for more than a second for you to take a struggle. Even if you built a luck set at this moment to capitalize on 3 extra chances, that altruistic survivor just ruins your entire perk because they saved you, as they should have. If you don't make those attempts yourself before you're saved, you lost the perk and it can't be used on your second hook. So then let's say if you brought it as a just in case perk when your allies won't come and save you, you're kind of boned too. If you hold onto it in that case and an ally does not come to save you, how long are you willing to wait? Because every second you wait is every chance you're gonna lose. Slippery Meat only gives those 3 extra chances if you use them immediately. As time goes on, that health bar drops and those chances also disappear. So if you wait till the last second of hitting 50% health, then you're still just going to have a single chance to hop off. Although the benefit will be that you don't really drain too much into your next health bar, you still lost all those extra chances and you might not have just ran the perk. You wasted a whole slot. You could even look back at the prior list to see how it really doesn't affect traps all that much either, but the prior argument has that the trapper is weak, not valid as a killer, and you don't really see him all that much. But the problem is, Trapper just recently got a good buff, and he's much stronger than he used to be, but there are still stronger perks that help tackle the traps he sets around the map. Even if you do get caught in a bear trap with that additional 25% chance to escape, Trapper's new add-ons make it possible for him to reduce that on you heavily now, plus put you in dying state if you free yourself based on the Honing Stone. Either way, if you're looking for an extra chance off in the first phase, feel free to grab the new perk Deliverance from the survivor Adam Francis, who'll be released among the Spirit in patch 2.20. If you want a better trap detector, try Urban Evasion or Small Game to avoid stepping into these traps. Not only is this perk hard to use, it's outclassed and it fits perfectly here at number 4. Number 3. No One Left Behind. No One Left Behind provides a boost of in-game blood points towards altruism after exegates are powered. Additionally, you perform altruism actions 12% faster. This perk is another neutral perk available to all survivors from the start. On my prior list, you wouldn't have found this perk on there, as I felt there was no downside to this at the time. As patches were released and certain perks were reworked, we find ourselves to have a bit of a problem. The first problem is that it provides in-game altruism instead of end-game. This means that it affects the amount you earn from the actions you earn in-game, and that maxes out at 8,000 points. It is very possible to actually reach this easily and get those points if you're just an altruistic player in general, especially with the new scoring for hook saves being increased if you do it safely. If you're at max before the gates open, then you cannot utilize the primary purpose of this perk, which is those bonus altruism points, but we still have the 12% bonus speed to altruism actions. While looking at that, we can look towards any perk that may outclass this. We have the aforementioned leader, which grants 9% bonus speed to other survivors, which is great because it's to more than just altruistic actions, but that bonus isn't towards yourself if you need to help someone. But if it's the hooked player who has leader, then that perk will grant you the 9% bonus to your saving speed, which is altruism plus your healing speed after the fact, and then anything you're doing after that if you stick around. Of course, this is the 3% difference, but if you're that nitpicky about 3%, we're probably going to argue that Proved Thyself is useful. We can look at other perks which are also really good. Botany with 20% increased healing speed in all time. Will Make It runs a 100% healing speed for 1 minute after making a rescue. Borrowed Time, which protects the survivor who got hooked and actually helps prevent people from being left behind, shall we say. Then we have We're Gonna Live Forever, which provides a massive boost up to double your endgame blood points. And in comparison to these perks which work all game, No One Left Behind fails to really live up to its name when everything else does it better. As this perk doesn't work all game long, you're essentially one perk down. Then when the gates are powered, it has a variety of killer perks to contend against. Remember Me, No One Escapes Death, Bitter Murmur, Blood Warden, Devour Hope, and various killer powers all come to light at the end of the game. And of course, Devour Hope and Bitter Murmur, for example, work throughout the game, but they do pose a massive threat to altruism at the gates. You definitely will not be altruistic when you're injured, the killer knows where you're at or is chasing your ass, or you're the one who ends up on the hook, and the killer is likely to get multiple people if you're altruistic with no ed up. And if you're going to be ballsy and stay behind and try to save someone from hex no ed, good luck. With all these other perks, No One Left Behind just feels very outdated and is quite the forgotten perk, as it was at one point valid back in the days of perks that didn't have blood point bonuses and was not as common, and altruism could always use a boost, but even at the start of the game it was one of those perks you got and used maybe when you had nothing else. But looking at the pool today, this is just one of those perks that needs to be updated. But it's patch 2.2.0 PTB, and honestly, this is a perk that could be removed from the game, and I'm sure tons of you forgot this perk even existed until it popped up in your blood web, and your face twists with disgust as you know you could have had a better perk show up. You know something better was along the lines, and if that one didn't exist, you'd be fine. But even with that said, there's still 2 perks worse than this one, and that's number 2, Left Behind. You didn't hear that wrong, there are just 2 perks that contain pretty much the same name. Left Behind is a perk that grants 25% additional repair speed per remaining generator if you are the last remaining survivor. On PC, this is taught from good old Left 4 Dead Bill at level 30, but otherwise I believe for consoles, this is just a perk available to you. There is a lot to say with this perk that I could defend, but when you break down the reality behind everything, when you come to realize what this perk actually does, you can never truly utilize this perk. I can't deny that having a 125 repair bonus speed wouldn't be awesome. I mean, that's fantastic. It's a huge number. But if you really look at the reality of what it takes to get that, it means that 3 survivors are dead, not hooked, injured, or down. They're dead, and you didn't complete a single generator. There are rare, low-rank occasions where a killer does really prevent an entire team from doing a single generator, leaving one poor person behind to just give up and die. But in a game that people just don't goof off, you can get 2 generators done in a heartbeat. So now we have to look at the real problem of this perk, and that's the hatch. If this game requires you to finish generators to open the door and get yourself out of there, then Left Behind might be godsend to some amazing survivors that tackle the killer alone. However, everyone else, including me, might just opt out for the free hatch escape after 2 generators are done if we notice that our team just is really so bad we think Left Behind is required. If you run into an issue where 2 generators are not done before 3 survivors die, then you might bring Left Behind to help you in that scenario, but it sadly will not be as effective as you think. Sure, you might be able to complete a generator in 35 seconds from 0%, but you also alert the killer to where you are once you finished, assuming he didn't already catch you from generator patrolling as you were working on it. The hatch would spawn after this, you'd still have to look at it while avoiding the killer finding you. And to this point, if he eliminated your entire team by now, I'm sure he isn't blind enough to miss you as well, or is running perks that'll help track you down like Whispers or something of the sort. Hopefully he didn't have barbecue and chili. My old argument was that I believe that people would use this perk to get an achievement, and I get it, not everyone plays for achievements, but that's why this wasn't the worst perk in the game. It had a purpose, I thought, but then I realized that the achievement for getting out alone by completing a generator and opening the door was not really helped by Left Behind. Though yes, you have to complete a generator by yourself, you could have that generator 99% and then just pop it immediately when the last person dies. The hardest part was sneaking around the killer and getting the doors open, which means you shouldn't waste a perk slot on Left Behind. You need things like Urban Evasion, you need Sprint Burst, you need something that keeps you away and alive from the killer, or just hope the killer's really lazy and doesn't check the doors as they camp the hatch, hopefully fingers crossed. There was once hope for this particular perk in terms of the hatch standoff. They were going to allow killers to close the hatch, requiring you to complete a generator to reopen the hatch, where Left Behind would actually work. But as of recently, they've removed that idea, and do not believe it is a fair path. Therefore, we won't be seeing that update anytime soon. And thusly, a good idea of a perk allowing a survivor to play specifically for the hatch can no longer do so. And though with good intentions, the perk stood a chance at one time, but is now left to the memes it would create. If you got Left Behind, you do not use Left Behind. Number 1, Boil Over. On the top of our list, the most useless perk, Boil Over. This causes the wiggle effects of the survivor to cause the killer to strafe approximately 75% more. Additionally, the killer cannot see hook auras within 14 meters, taught from Kate Denson at level 40. And on paper, this perk looked great. I read it on its release and rejoiced that there was a perk that affected the struggles of a survivor on the killer's shoulder. Then I played it and read it again. It affects the movement of the killer as you struggle in its arms, not the bar progress. Essentially, the side-by-side swaying the killer typically ignores is 75% more ignorable. Out of all the perks I like to make builds out of with Survivor, be it memes or just fun bully builds, Boil Over is the only one I have never gotten to work in its intended way ever. Killers know where their hooks are for the most part. They spawn in similar places all the time. 14 meters is not going to hide a hook. Essentially, it's got to be in their face already, unless you're in Larry's Memorial Institute and there's not a wall blocking the room that holds the hook. You could just probably turn to the right and see a hook within 14 meters of you. It's really not that hard. Each time I've ran Boil Over, I've yet to stop the killer from ever hooking me. Even if the distance from the nearest hook is close enough to get my wiggle meter to like 80%, Boil Over is not going to push the killer any further away to make a difference that gets me off their shoulder. 75% is a high number, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't mean anything when it affects next to nothing. 75% is a large percentage, don't get me wrong, but 75% of 0 is still 0. If you've gotten this perk to work for you, I'd love to hear your story in the comment section down below. What rank were you? How awesome was it that Boil Over actually worked for you when I have never gotten it to work for me? Otherwise, I have to believe that the rest of you are like me. You run Boil Over and watch the killer travel with no effort to the hook and kill your ass. Then you wonder, why'd you even pick up the perk in the first place? Like I said before, I only see this perk working if you're in somewhere like Treatment Theater, where the killer can't see behind the wall to the room that holds the hook, but every other map shows 2 to 3 hooks, 25 meters in some direction. It wouldn't really matter if he sees the aura or not, you could see the gigantic hook. It's right there. Like all perks on this list, it seems to be just another perk that eats up a slot with no value, and you only have 4 precious slots. But unlike other perks on this list, such as No One Left Behind, it's not an outdated perk. It was just released in the last chapter on Kate Denson, and unfortunately, this is a really new perk that just doesn't do anything, so the design behind it doesn't fit what the current meta is. Quite possibly the perk could have been noob friendly, as a lot of Kate Denson seems to really help newer players. She has the ability to see where palettes, windows are, and even has a good combo perk with Lythe with her Dance With Me. But Boil Over, when you really look at it, Boil Over, oh boy. That's just, I don't even know who it's for, what it does, how it does it. But all I do know is if I'm your killer and you're running Boiled Over, I'm going to knock you down, pick you up, and realize you have Boiled Over because it tells us a killer. And then I'm going to laugh because it's not going to do anything. And then I'm going to hook you. And then I'm going to feel bad that you ran that either because you're playing Kate Denson, have no other perks, or you thought it was a good perk and you didn't watch this video yet, and now you're sitting here like, oh, so it really doesn't do anything. Damn. Like Deja Vu on the prior list, until Boiled Over gets a rework or gets looked at so it fits or maybe does something more impressive than nothing, then maybe we could see this resurface as a good perk. Maybe Boil Over will have a purpose. Or not. What do you think? Did you find all the perks you expected on this list? What is your personal list? And did you really make Boil Over work? Because I really need to know that. Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you like this video, please hit that subscribe button, share this video with all your friends, and I'll catch you all next time. I also need to apologize. The chonking rats have been gnawing on their log for 3 days straight, and I could not record this for the life of me without them in it. So, if you did hear them, I'm sorry, and, well, that's about it, and as always, good game.